now come to the point of our discussion segment. We'll be meeting up with Miss Madili, who happens to be the country director of Afrocentric Design Center at the African University of Science and Technology. We'll be helping us to understand the Nigerian building and design market. And that is one of the aspects whereby an economy is growing, the market is growing, and importantly, let's have a discussion how other sectors of the economy can tap to the Nigerian building and design market. So, a very good day to have you, ma.
Thank you.
All right, ma. So, welcome to the Market Report Show.
Yes.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. So, let's get down to our discussion. For you, give us a review of your assessment of the entire Nigerian building and design, industry, I'll put it, but we also know it is the market size that we're talking about. Let's have your review.
Okay. My review on the entire Nigerian design and construction industry, I would say is quite positive. It's developing at the best pace it can, keeping in mind some of the positives and some of the restrictions, challenges that we face. But the nation is growing exponentially in terms of its design and development, whether it's in housing, education sector, commercial. There's, of course, lots of room for improvement. But I think that Nigeria is doing the best that it can with what it has at this moment in terms of its design and development sector.
Interesting. But on the other hand, when it comes to this aspect of the economy, particularly the market size, people ask about the market size. What do you make of the market size of this particular sector of the Nigerian economy?
The market side, in terms of revenue generation, again, I will say that there's potential when you think about the numbers, our population in Nigeria. There is so much capacity to build and monetize the design and construction industry. Not that that is what we always want to focus on is profit, because there's a serious need for good, sustainable development. But yes, if you think about the economy, there is a lot to be done and made in private sector, in residential, of course, in commercial, our education sector, even government buildings. There is so much opportunity that's there for us to capitalize on, and not just in the Nigerian or the African market, internationally. There is so much opportunity for investment in our real estate sector here in Nigeria.
I think we'll get to that point or that global perspective, which I'll definitely ask you questions around. But let's take a bit contextualization on the local aspect of the economy, of the Nigerian building and construction, as well as design sector of the Nigerian economy. But for you, there's no way we'll talk about it without looking at the constraints and challenges in this sector. But for you as a practitioner and someone who is in that industry, take us through some of the constraints and challenges within these sectors.
Constraints and challenges, we will always start with financing, funding. Such a huge challenge. The good thing is that our numbers are here. I think if the banking sector could see that that your average Nigerian does have the capacity. It's just a matter of the opportunities being available. So if we had access to more development finance, then you would see much more success for those that are developing and also for those that are the end users, whether it's those who are trying to look for home ownership, they're trying to build businesses. So financially, there's a lot of opportunity. So our banking industry does need to look at the potential from different perspectives, think out the box. And I can give some examples, as we talk further in our conversation today.
All right, interesting. But I would like you to also share that example with us, because, when you mention financing, a lot of people will always say, any Nigerian that you ask any question, what is your problem? You will mention money. Although you have alluded to that finance is one of the key challenge in that sector. But let's take on some of the examples you want to really relay with us. Let's have them so that we can further deepen the understanding of that sector with our viewers.
Okay, okay, all right. So let's talk about the fact that people said that home ownership is very hard in Nigeria. People cannot pay. You can't give the average Nigerian a mortgage, you know, tool. Meanwhile, your average Nigerian is able to afford his rent or her rent. If we couldn't afford, you will see us all on the streets outside. So somehow we are able to afford our rent, no matter the amount. That means that mortgages could be available and the banking industry could actually make financial tools available because people can actually pay. Yes. So that's just one really good example. People are paying their rents in their shops, they are paying their rents in their offices, they are taking long and short-term leases in all kinds of properties, high end, low end, and middle end. People are able to pay. So if they're able to pay, the banks can take the risk and provide ownership long term. What obtains in the rest of the world, all these 20, 30-year mortgages, it's like a rent, but at the end of the day, you own it, and the bank is making a lot of money off of you over those 10, 20, 30 years. But what you've done is you've empowered the people by allowing them to pay incrementally. We don't have to put everything on the shoulders of private sector to be able to finance everything that we need in the built industry. The banks can actually take a chance on the population because they are able to pay. Like I said, otherwise, most Nigerians will be living on the streets. We are not, because we are actually able to pay something. We do have money. So the banks can capitalize on that.
Interesting. I really love the example you have raised. And this draws attention to what the government have been trying to do in the past. If you understand the public sector mortgage system that was established by the federal government of Nigeria, but we saw a lot of hanky-panky, lobster attitude from government officials, politicians, to the point that if you ask any civil servant today that the housing funding that they collected from your salary here and there to provide a mortgage system for every one of us, what has happened to it? We all know what happened at the end of the day from the National Assembly involving investigating the how billions of naira got missing. Now you are now suggesting that the private sector should come in, but from your own part, how would they be able to come in? Because the larger spectrum that will give the private sector that guarantee for that system will come from government. But we have seen that the one that government is doing, is like a mess. But what would you suggest to the private sector to take advantage of this particular mortgage system that you are suggesting?
The government should open it up. It should not only be for civil servants. Like I said, the average Nigerian can afford. Make the mortgages available. Make them single digit. Double digits is painful to the citizens of our own nation. So the government can open it, make those mortgages actually available, affordable, and not just the civil servants will be able to afford or to take advantage of home ownership or business ownership. Open it up, partner with private sector, and can bring those digits down. There's so many ways you can look at it. But the government has to be sincere in its efforts, and they should subsidize some of those costs that private sector has to always take when they're looking to provide architectural services, real estate services. Subsidize some of those expenses and work together with private sector. Open up those mortgages.
Exactly.
I truly believe that they will succeed because I see people making that conscious effort to invest in property that belongs to them. They just need a little bit of assistance, and I think the government can really do a good job there.
I think for me, you have drawn up a particular segment of our discussion and drawn my attention to one aspect I know you'll be very, very interested to talk about. That means the architectural designs of those houses or those buildings. The last time you were here on the show, under the auspices of the African University of Science and Technology, we talked more about the design, and I can see from the background that you are, I can see a design picture of a house. But, most Nigerians that buildings that we are seeing in Abuja, in Lagos, they have modern designs. And as rightly pointed out, the cost of those architectural designs is also an input that is making housing to be very, very expensive. But from your own understanding, how can we break this down? Because ordinary people, most of them may not be interested in these high-rising buildings, but they are looking for something comfortable, affordable, and accessible. Let's have your take on that one.
Yes, yes. I think that in the profession of architecture, especially in Africa or developing nations, I think that we could almost focus on two tracks for training architects. Train them for the 10% of the society that is, you could say, affluent or well-to-do. Train them to design buildings that are at that economic level, and then train most of our architects to focus on the majority of our people, the masses. Most of us in Africa are earning a certain amount. And so the architecture and the construction that should be for us, and I put myself in that category, should be beautiful and should be affordable. It should be designed with my lifestyle and my economic purchasing power in mind. Architects play a very special role in creating our built environment. It should be beautiful for everybody. Everybody should have beautiful, affordable architecture. I think how they say in Nigeria, $1 billion house is affordable
Yeah, exactly.
because it's affordable to the person in that social economic bracket. But I think when you fall back to the foundation of the issue is what are the architects trained to design? Who are they trained to design for? So we can actually come back into our studios and create affordable prototypes that have dignity, are culturally responsive, and definitely are affordable because we are using maybe our own standardized local materials. So architects and architecture plays a huge role in this conversation of what Nigeria's real estate and development sector is looking like, and the mass potential for our nation.
Interesting. I really love your perspective in that regard. But let's also see contextualize in a way that people, our viewers, can get a grip of what you are really painting at. One of the key aspects of building is the raw material, the sand, the cement, the iron, the wood, and the rest of them. But from your own perspective, you believe that we should also look at how we can modernize it in a way that it will suit our environment. But for many Nigerians, when you say suiting our cultural environment, it may turn out to be, are we going to be going back to the era of mode? But try to break it down for many of our viewers so they can understand that perspective when it comes to affordable
Okay.
housing that can be built and to our pocket. Because if you take someone to his pocket now, he may say, okay, can a 1 million naira build house for me?
Very good. Perfect question. So yes, as you know what we do. So I'm sitting at the African University of Science and Technology here in Galadimawa, Abuja, the FCT. And I am at our Center for Afrocentric Design Advancement. It is a CPDI Africa collaborative with AUST. And so our mission is to look at design that, yes, is culturally responsive, right? We're talking about heritage preservation, how are buildings functional according to our own region, our own environment, and beauty and aesthetics and all, but also a very important element, and that is the materials. It is very important that we standardize our local materials. When you say local, most people will say, okay, you mean mud, laterite,
Yeah.
raffia, bamboo, stone, thatch, all those green, sustainable materials.
Exactly.
Yes, we mean those local materials, but we don't mean using them the way our ancestors did. They use them in perfect ways. Of course, there's indigenous science and technology that was used to build Nigeria, to build Africa. Okay. But that science and technology can be modernized. We can take it into the lab and come up with contemporary prototypes or standardized local materials. So that very same laterite or adobe, earth or mud, as some people say, is still the perfect material for Africa because it's affordable, it's available, and it also keeps the heat out, right? In Africa, we want cool interiors,
Exactly.
not hot interiors, which is what happens when you use cement, which is part of our colonial identity. Okay. All right. So how do you take that laterite, that adobe clay, mud, as some people say? How do you come up with new building products, standardized, patented products, like what we see from the Maswonko, what we see from NIBRI, Nigerian Building Roads and Research Institute? They are taking our local materials and they are modernizing them so that we can use them. So those materials now become much more affordable because we're not having to import them. Again, the key will be what are the architects designing with these materials so that when the client sees it, he still loves it, he appreciates it, he finds it, it gives him dignity. It's not reminding him of the traditional or my great great grandfather's house style. What is
Exactly.
a modern Nigerian building? So
Exactly.
all of that is what we do here at our center, and it's supposed to inform private sector, academia, and of course our policy makers on how to move forward with something that really works as we develop Nigeria.
Exactly. Do you know why I asked that question? Few years ago, I had a copper friend that traveled all the way from the south to Abuja. And as he was coming down to Abuja, he passed through Kogi State. And I asked him, what are the things that you saw? He said, sir, I saw mud house, all the way from Lokoja. I was like, but the African house. But he said that when will they modernize those houses? That's the question the copper put to me. But I believe the Africa Afrocentric Center is here to help us to modernize our homes across Nigeria and beyond. As I earlier pointed out, I said I'm going to ask you a question about the global perspective. A report came out that Nigeria, Algeria, Egypt, South Africa are the leading African countries when it comes to building designs and construction, and with over 200 billion market size. But what do you have to say about that?
Okay, for those countries, it's true. Those are very large economies, and with Nigeria really being the largest. Um, the built environment sector really propels a nation. It's one of the areas where you can tell, based on what a nation is spending on its infrastructure, you know how well-to-do they are, how upwardly mobile they are, how developed they are, or how quickly they are developing. They say that one of the best signs of a nation's evolution is the assessment of their built environment. So when you land in Nigeria, you're supposed to look around and see amazing architectural and civic works. It is a sign of your development. It's one of the highest financial expenses you will have in your budget as a nation is developing infrastructure. So when you land in Nigeria, what do you see? Do you see those signs, the evidence of an upward moving society? Yes, no, it all depends on where you are. Are you in Lagos? Are you in Abuja? Are you in the village? And so there's evidence that there's room for so much growth. And I think we're attacking it the best way we can. Yes, we do have some challenges, capitalism, international capitalism, and our bouncing back from the colonial era. I think that with time, you will be able to come into Nigeria and see the evidence of our prosperity. But we'll gradually get there. As an urban planner, right, having spent some time in the US, that was my job to maintain the built environment, to make sure that when somebody lands in the US, what they are seeing around them gives you a good idea of how the people think of themselves, how the government feels of its own people, and how it's investing in their own infrastructure. That's
Exactly.
what Nigeria and other African countries will have going forward. That as you are landing, you will see the evidence of how our government loves us, how it loves itself, and how it wants to invest in its future.
Exactly. And for that won't happen without the research institution, playing a key role. So I want to ask, how can we ensure that the research institution like ACAD that you have in AUST and others across Nigeria play a key role, particularly linking up their research output with the market for private sector, for the government to take up, and turn into the material perspective that you have just painted from your experience when you are in US?
Yes, yes. Our research institutions play a critical role. We have to graduate bright young Nigerians that have spent their entire academic career um, understanding the issues on ground and coming up with perfect solutions for those challenges. We should not go to school learning from curriculums that are outdated or that may have been passed down to us from previous eras. Our curriculums must be Afrocentric, they must be inward focus. In our case, Nigeria centric, right? So our universities, our high schools, it is our responsibility to teach our future leaders, which is every young Nigerian, how to think, how to address issues. Every research lab in a Nigerian university should be an area of innovation. Take the materials, like for us in this conversation, take the laterite, take the thatch, take it into your lab and come up with patented, modern, standardized products that you can sell not only to yourself in Nigeria or Africa, but abroad. Everybody is looking for green materials, materials that will not impact the ozone, climate change, global warming, all those things. Africa has the ability to solve that problem, a problem that we didn't even cause. But our research institutes could lead that that vision if we taught these issues in our classrooms, in our labs. So having Nigerian-centric curriculums is just critical. That way, when you graduate a young Nigerian, he's going out into the world already with all the information. If he becomes a policymaker, it won't take him 2 seconds to approve a policy that helps Nigerian people.
Exactly.
If he's a doctor, it won't take him 2 seconds to approve medicine that is homegrown and producing those medicines for our people. If he's an architect and urban planner, it won't take him 2 seconds to design and build and plan for a Nigeria that is comfortable, beautiful, and affordable for all. It sounds utopian, but we can do it because we've seen other people, those in Singapore, those in China, all the places that are now first world. They took time to do it. We can do it too. We truly can do it too. We just must love each other.
Exactly. Very interesting. We can do it. We can do it. We can do it because it is a 64 trillion naira economy, a 44 billion US dollar based economy. That is Nigerian building and design sector that we are talking about. A 64 trillion economy. We can do it and improve better on it. Thank you so much, Ms. Madili, for coming on the show today. It's quite interesting to have you on the show, and your submission are laudable. The last question I want to ask you is this: to your other colleagues out there, what do you have to say for them in just 20 seconds? Your other colleagues, because they need to hear something from you also.
My colleagues, architects, urban planners, estate developers, professors, policymakers, please join us here at AUST. We have an amazing workshop coming up in December. Please join us. Come and join the conversation. Contribute your wisdom and your knowledge to this conversation. Let's move Nigeria together forward. So please join us at CPD Africa at AUST campus here in Abuja, Galadimawa. Thank you so much.
Thank you for coming on the show, and have a great day ahead of you, ma.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. You too.
All right. I've been speaking with Ms. Madili, who happens to be the country director of ACAD, one of the research institutions basically created by the Mandela Foundation and the African University of Science and Technology here in Abuja for the purpose of building design, architectural. And the reason is because they want to have and produce affordable housing, not just for Nigerians, but for across Africa and beyond. And for Nigerian market, it is a 64 trillion naira market size for our building and design sector. We'll be going for a short break now. Honorable Mahmood will be joining us. We'll be talking about strengthening smallholders farmers production value chain in Nigeria. Let's go for this break, then we'll come up with that discussion.